Sport Fishing on the Fly is brought to you by Togen's Fly Shop, Maui Jim Sunglasses, and Hardy Rods and Reels.
Good day everyone. Today I'm going to tie a very deadly pattern, a deadly name as well. Bloody Bugger is what I call this fly. It's a very, very excellent fly to fish almost any water for many, many species. Let's go over the materials we need to tie the fly. I'm going to be using a Daiichi 2220 size 8 streamer hook. I'm going to be using some 6/0 black Unithread. I'll be using some Arctic Fox for the tail. It's a little longer than the rabbit, gives me a nice long tail. Accent the tail, I'm going to use some fluorescent, or this is Fuscia fine holographic tinsel for the lateral lines on that. The body, we're going to be using some crosscut zonkers. They're cut lengthways or sideways on the skin, and I always cut my skin off so I can get more hair and pack it tighter. So I cut that off. We use a wire brush. So we're going to need some red wire, size small. The body, I'm going to be also using some Polar Chenille in the Claret. And we'll use some dubbing wax, some 020 lead wire, and there we go. So it's a very durable pattern. It looks super in the water. It really moves well. I'm going to move my zoom out here a little bit so you can see me do the wire brush a little better. Okay, that's critical. Alright, let's get our hook in there. We'll lay our thread base down on the shank. Stops everything from sliding around on you. Come in there with our lead wire. I'm going to lead the front part of the shank so it'll undulate in the water. You can put a bead head on here if you want. I don't get a lot of these flies looking like jigs too much. If you do put the bead head on here, it will jig and it will work. I'm not saying so. Sometimes it's good that you tie your own flies. You can customize them a little bit, put some with heavier beads on so they got more undulation, and some like this where it's going to move very slow. You can fish it very, very slow. The water temperature is going to really dictate what the fish want. So it's good that you've got the proper flies in your box to handle any situation. That's nice when you can tie your own flies. So I'm just going to put my Arctic Fox on here for a tail. It gives me a long, very strong tail, stronger than marabou, of course, and get all my underfur out. And we'll get our Fuscia holographic tinsel here. I'm going to tie one on each side, the tail. That's all the flash you're going to need on that one. Then we'll come in with our red wire. Find the end of it here somewhere. There it is. We'll tie this on. This is going to make our dubbing brush, which are just bulletproof. If you do not have a spinning vise like this, make yourself a dubbing block. You can buy them, I'm sure, online. I'm sure there's guys out there making them. Basically, just something to lay your materials on between your thread and your wire, and something you can spin. And your way to go. It's not rocket science. There's a lot of really, really good materials or flies you can make with dubbing brushes. I really like using them, large and small flies. Okay, so now, and why I like dubbing brushes so much, we can cut all this hair off the hide. A lot of times when you're wrapping the rabbit hide on there as well, you don't get as near as much hair. It takes so much room on the shank of the hook. So I'm just going to put the butts close to the thread so I got lots of length. Get as much length out of my rabbit as I can. Get them lined up. And it can be fairly sparse on there. Okay. Now it's important that we use our wax on the wire. Make sure you tie your wire on that you fold it over itself so it doesn't pull out. It pulls out on this step if you don't fold it over itself, tie it back. Over top with the wire, over top of the rabbit. It comes off my dubbing table. I want to make sure I get a really good tight spin on this. I'm going to start feeling the wire getting shorter and shorter, and once it starts wanting to turn in my fingers where it's tight, that's when I stop. Okay. So I'll get some of our polar flash here. This is Claret. Very nice color for the black accent. I'm going to wrap that down with the wire here. That should have everything all tucked in. Then I'll just take my polar and my rabbit together, and we can wrap that together as we go forward. Take a little time, make sure it kind of wants to lay down over itself. You can preen them back a little bit as you go. And you get a very nice accent. I do that on my sculpin patterns too. You've seen that fly tied. You'll know what I'm doing. This polar chenille works really good wrapped in the hair. I can get right up in behind the eye now. Take a few turns, just get and tie off my material. Make sure we get a good head, hold everything in, whip finish, nip that off. I'm going to put some epoxy on that later. I'm coming in with just a bodkin needle, just free up any of those trapped strands of that polar chenille, work that all out. Well, that looks pretty good. And then I can just take an old toothbrush, just brush it all back. And that really breathes in the water. You can imagine how nice and soft that material looks, and it's just got enough highlights in there to really catch the fish's attention. And like I say, this will catch so many different species that and different colors. You can go anywhere from white to browns, olives, whatever you like. Put a different accent in there that will work for you. But this bloody colored one with this claret and black is a big producer. So there it is. I just got one strand here. I got a little glue on it. Nip that off. There it is. Bloody bugger, not a nice name, but a great fly, just the same. Didn't know what else to call it, but it just really looks great in the water and put a lot of fish in the net for you. So all the best for this one. We'll catch you again real soon on Sport Fishing on the Fly. Thanks for watching.